Attention is in Lagos State, where the government has advised residents in the Ogun River to prepare for massive flooding. This follows an updated 2023 water release forecast for flood control by the Ogun River Basin Authority. A statement by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, Lekan Sodeinde, identified affected areas to include Agboyi, Meron, Maidan, Kara, Isheri-Olowora, Lekki-Aja axis, and about 10 other areas. According to him, the state is concerned about the safety of lives and property and has urged residents of the mentioned areas to move upland. Executive Director, Corporate Accountability and Public Participation for Africa, CAPA, Akimbo Delufemi, joins me on the news for more on this. Here is another warning, this time coming from the Lagos State government. If we compare what is going on now to what we experienced last year, would you say that we have actually learned a thing or two and have acted in line with that?
Thank you very much. In terms of learning, what seems to be improving in Nigeria now is the early warning systems from the national agencies, imminent, and the hydrological agencies. They've predicted that there is going to be flood in Nigeria. And I think Lagos State is also taking a cue by warning residents that there is going to be flood. Of course, we've been seeing, flash floods in parts of Nigeria as a result of heavy rain. But, I mean, what we should be asking ourselves right now is, after the early warning system, what next? So what are we doing? What are we collectively doing, citizens and government, in terms of emergency response? Flood, it's a physical emergency, it's a health emergency, it's an emotional emergency. The statement by the Lagos State government asks citizens to move to upland. And you may want to ask yourself, where, how? When you look at the scope and of the area covered by these alerts, you're talking about millions and millions of people. The question you want to ask yourself is that, after the warning, we think that the Lagos State government should begin to give us concrete steps that citizens need to take, where they need to go, what they need to do, how are they pulling the emergency responders together, because this flood will happen because we didn't do enough to prevent it.
Well, these are concerns that residents... Yes, Mr. Alfemi, these are concerns that citizens have been raising, because a number of them would rather stay put to where they are because they're concerned about where they would move, at this critical time. So what would be your advice to government in salvaging the situation?
So my advice to the Lagos State government is to activate an emergency response team right away. Begin to create shelter for people. Should begin to put in place the health responders themselves, and of course to begin to map the what I call the high prone areas. When you see the list, there are areas that we all know will be critically flooded, and begin to speak to people that are emotionally or culturally attached to those places and help them to move to safety. I tell you, there are schools, the Lagos State Stadium, there are facilities that were used during the COVID areas. There are spaces that could be quickly, mobilized to accommodate people, and then we can be able to protect lives and as much as possible.
But let's talk about long-term goals. What can we do as a people, as individuals, as organizations, as government, such that at least we know that climate change is real, but such that we are able to cushion the impact it could have on us?
So, Nigeria in itself, and I know there are so many papers and policy papers that have been done, needs to clearly come out with a mapping of the flood hotspots and a very comprehensive and ambitious, flood management mechanism. At some other time, it is the LADO releases that will affect 10 states. In this one, it is the people downstream of Ogun River belts, and we need to look at where do we need to build buffer dams, where do we ask people not to build and inhabit. We need to also map critically, as I said, in terms of our emergency responses, and then make them extremely coherent. We shouldn't be doing this fire brigade, year in, year out, people die, people drown, and the rest of them. Yeah, we know that, the issue of climate change, and we need to have a very clear climate action and climate response as a country. But there are some disasters that you can't just not stop, but to have a very clear response mechanism to be able to prevent the fatality and the damages that they will done to people and properties.
Executive Director Kappa Akimbo Dolufemi, thank you for talking to us on TVC News at 1.
Thank you very much.